Hey there, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're not being affected by this COVID-19 virus that's going around. And let's all try to protect ourselves and our loved ones. I have a top 10 list of what musicians can do, and the general public also, of how to avoid the spread of COVID-19. This is geared towards musicians because sometimes we share instruments, we try instruments at stores, we have to get close to microphones and studio consoles, and it's just a whole world of things that we share contact with equipment-wise in the music industry. And I have a list of top 10 things we can do, and that'll be coming up right now. The first item on my list is called Deep Clean, and that's the current media term for sanitizing your gear very well. Use a sanitizer that won't ruin your gear, something that is antibacterial yet won't ruin the finish of your gear or ruin the electronics. So use a sanitizing cleaner that you feel won't harm your gear but will sanitize it. Number two is try to avoid using someone else's gear. I know people swap guitars and people may share their microphones, and in the studio people be touching everyone else's sliders and things like that. You probably can't avoid that, but what you might want to do is number three, sanitize someone else's gear before you use it. Obviously it's someone else's gear, so ask them if you can sanitize it and show them what kind of sanitizer you're using, and if they say it's okay, well, go ahead and try to sanitize it the best you can, and maybe you might be okay with that. But I usually don't like to share my guitar with anybody else, so that's kind of a natural for me. And number four, take precautions when you try gear at stores. Of course, for guitarists, it's always best to have the guitar in your hands and see if it feels right for you and it sounds right. If you do go to a store, bring your sanitizing stuff with you and ask the store employee if it's okay if you could sanitize it ahead of time. And once you feel it's sanitized, then you might be able to try the gear. But I also try to avoid touching gear at stores, either be keyboards or drumsticks or guitars. And especially, I'm not a woodwind player or a horn player, but that really applies to people who have to use a mouthpiece. Number five, this would be good at all times these days, is have hand sanitizer on hand and sanitizing wipes with you. You never know when you need to sanitize a surface or your hands, so have that ready with you. Number six is basically, hey, if you're sick or have symptoms, stay at home, do what the media is called social isolation. And in terms of seeing a doctor, don't go unless you're pretty sure you have the symptoms, because we don't want to overload the medical system, the urgent care, emergency wards, and the doctor's office with people who may not have the COVID-19 virus. So my suggestion on that is to visit the CDC website, Center for Disease and Control, at www.cdc.gov, and this site has really good information on the virus, all subjects, prevention, what's available for vaccines, what specific symptoms to look for, when to go to a doctor, a whole lot of things. So I would suggest going to the CDC site and get some information from that. Plus also, if you're thinking of seeing a doctor, you might want to check out the symptoms section and see if you fit the symptoms. We want to keep the medical system as accessible to people who are really sick. Number 7, everyone is saying wash your hands with sanitizing soap, and I've always been doing that anyway, but can't stress that enough now, so please wash your hands with sanitizing soap. And number 8, this is regarding taking precautions when you go to performances and concerts. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of people around during concerts close in proximity to you. And let me move over to one picture. You know, typical concert scene, people wall to wall. And in this time, when that virus hasn't been really contained yet, I would suggest try to avoid large crowds. I think the CDC is saying try to keep at least 6 feet away from somebody, and I know that's going to be hard to do, but try to keep that in mind. Number 9, learn as much as you can about this COVID-19 from reliable sources like the CDC site. Can't stress that enough. There's a lot of disinformation on YouTube and social media, so be careful about what advice you take. Really learn as much as you can from valid, reliable sources. And probably number 10, maybe the most important of all, which I don't hear a lot of media coverage on, is don't panic, don't spread the panic. Yeah, this is bad now as of today. I mean, they're banning gatherings of 50 or more people, and kids are supposed to stay home from school, and a lot of restrictions starting to come up. Probably more, depending on where this virus goes. But in the meantime, try to be as calm as you can. Try not to be so anxious about it. Try not to have too much anxiety. But also be cautious of, this thing is going around, and you want to be careful, but don't spread panic, don't spread disinformation. So I hope this helps, and please visit the CDC website for good information on this. Everyone take care of themselves, take care of your gear, take care of your family and friends, and talk to you later. See you later. Bye-bye.